Hey everybody, it's Mike with InflatableBoarder, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Blackfin Model XL 6.0 by iRocker. The Blackfin Model XL 6 is this year's update to iRocker's fantastic do-it-all in fishing inflatable paddleboard. It's got great stability, excellent performance on the water, and a huge feature set that makes it ready for just about any stand-up paddleboard adventure. The Model XL 6.0 uses iRocker's triple layer composite construction, and it also has a few additional elements to help improve its durability and its rigidity. Now, over the last few years, we haven't seen a lot of construction changes for the Blackfin series, and I don't necessarily view this as bad, other than they are a little bit heavier than what we're seeing in some of the competition from other companies. But it's a bit of a if it isn't broke, don't fix it type situation, where we've seen these boards hold up very well over time, and they do have excellent rigidity on the water. Inside the Model XL, we have a standard knitted drop stitch core. This uses 2 layers of a knitted synthetic fabric to create the base layer for the deck and the hull of the board, and those 2 layers are connected with thousands of different threads to give the board its flat shape when it's inflated and to provide it with rigidity. The outside of the board is made with 2 layers of PVC, and combined with that inner fabric base layer gives you the triple layer composite construction from iRocker. Now, the top and bottom of the board are joined together around the edges with a reinforced layer of PVC that's glued to both the top and bottom, and then an additional layer of PVC is glued over top of that to give it additional durability and rigidity. Now, with the Blackfin series from iRocker, they also add a layer of carbon fiber textile material that goes between the inner and outer layers around the midsection of the board. This carbon fiber textile still lets the board be rolled up when you're done using it for the day, but it does add a good measure of durability and rigidity to the board. Once the Model XL6 is built, along with all of the features and the deck pad, it weighs in at 29 pounds and has a maximum recommended inflation pressure of 16 psi. Now, 16 psi is just above kind of what we see as the industry average of 15 psi, but iRocker's construction has made this board extremely rigid. In our 170-pound static bend test, the Blackfin Model XL6 bent just 1 inch when we put all of that weight in the standing area of the board. Compare that to our total running average of about 1.6 inches across around 130 different inflatable paddleboards we've tested so far. Now, on the water, the Model XL6's rigidity was definitely noticeable, or not noticeable depending on how you look at it. While standing and paddling on the board normally, I couldn't feel it flexing at all. And while bouncing on the board or paddling very hard for a sprint, I only noticed a small amount of flex with a comfortable rebound, so I never felt like it was springy or trying to throw me off after I finished sprinting or jumping on the board. Now, the Blackfin Model XL is a rather large paddleboard. It's 11.5 feet long, 34 inches wide, and 6 inches thick. And all of that volume gives it a weight capacity of about 450 pounds according to iRocker. And in my experience, that's a pretty reasonable weight capacity for this board, as it does allow you to paddle with a passenger or loads of cargo if you're going off on a long SUP camping or SUP fishing trip. Along with a large size on paper, the Blackfin XL's shape also gives it additional capacity and stability. The wider nose and wider tail allow the board to carry its width through a longer section in the middle of the board, and that gives you a more stable feel on the water, and it also increases the capacity of the board. That shape also allows the board to have more parallel sides, which gives it a more consistent feel as you adjust your position forward and backward. And if you do work your way to the back of the board to lower the tail and raise the nose for a pivot turn, you'll notice the tail has a nice medium width to it with a square shape. Again, that is going to help increase its stability and capacity, even if you aren't standing right in the middle of the board. The Model XL's size and shape work together very well, and while out on the water, I didn't feel any rolling or twitching in this board. It felt very stable and very comfortable from the first moment I stood up to when I was done paddling it for the day. And that's not a surprise, as this board is designed for higher capacities, higher weights, and just being a more stable board all around for fishing and other activities. I found the Blackfin Model XL to be surprisingly quick in all circumstances, but when I began to put down more power for our sprinting test, I did find it to be actually even faster than I expected. Now, it does sprint around 5.5 miles an hour at a sustained rate of 75 strokes per minute, and that's something you could very easily maintain for a 200-meter sprint or maybe a little bit longer. And at its top speed, I was able to get the Model XL to 5.7 miles per hour. Now, that's not a huge difference between the two, and typically when we see that, it's because there's some sort of design factor that's maybe limiting its top speed. And in the case of the Blackfin Model XL, I do believe it actually comes down to the paddle more than the board. Now, 5.5 to 5.7 miles an hour doesn't seem very quick, but when you compare the Blackfin Model XL to other 34-inch wide boards and other fishing boards, it is actually very fast and comes out near the top of that category. When you slow things down to a more casual cruising speed of around 25 strokes per minute, then the Blackfin Model XL cruises along at a nice comfortable 3.3 miles per hour on average. Now, this is a little bit more typical of what we expect for this category of paddleboard, but it's still a very nice speed that you can easily maintain for hours at a time if you'd like. And while paddling at that cruising pace, I also found that I could take a single paddle stroke and the Blackfin XL would continue to move for about 20 feet on average before I could feel it slowing down. Now, that gives it a gliding ratio of about 1.7 board lengths per stroke, which again is very good for this category of board and is slightly above average for our total running average of all paddleboards. Now, while sprint testing the Model XL, I could feel it flexing just a little bit while I was paddling hard, but I didn't feel that it was enough to really affect its speed performance. What I did feel flexing though was the paddle, and we'll get into more of that in just a minute. But overall, considering its size and its intended purpose, the Blackfin Model XL6 is actually a very quick board. iRocker does include a set of 3 fins with the Blackfin Model XL, and we always do all of our testing with all of the included accessories, including all 3 fins. And when you have all 3 of them installed, the Model XL does definitely favor its tracking performance more than its maneuverability, but that's not to say that you can't turn the board when you want to. In our maneuverability stress test, the Blackfin Model XL was able to complete a full 360-degree turn from a standstill with just 7 forward sweep paddle strokes. Now, we do this, like I said, as a stress test. These paddle strokes are not the most efficient way to turn the board, but they do really highlight for us the design of the board and how maneuverable it is. Now, if you switch to something like a reverse sweep stroke, which is more efficient to turn your board quickly, then the Model XL does turn faster, and it only took about 4 strokes to complete that same 360-degree turn. Of course, there's all sorts of ways to turn your board. You can step back onto the tail for a pivot turn, you can use crossbow draw strokes, all sorts of other things, and the Blackfin Model XL does respond well to these more advanced techniques. So while overall the Blackfin Model XL6 is a little tough to flat turn with a basic turning stroke, it does respond well, and you can turn the board up to about 90 degrees fairly easily with just 1 or 2 strokes. Now, when you want to paddle straight, the Blackfin Model XL6 does an excellent job. In our 10-stroke tracking test, I found the Model XL to change course or deviate off course by just 14 degrees after 10 paddle strokes on a single side of the board. Now, 14 degrees is definitely better than what you see in a typical all-around paddleboard, although not quite as good as what we see in a typical touring paddleboard, which makes sense as the Blackfin XL size does sit a little bit in between the two. Now, with its 34-inch width, we would typically see a little bit of a poorer tracking performance with most boards, as it does force your paddle farther from the center of the board and puts more turning force with each stroke. But the Blackfin XL handled this very well, and I found no issues staying on course during normal paddling as well as during our tracking test. Now, speaking of fins, the Model XL6 does come with 3. It has a 9-inch center fin and 2 4.5-inch side fins. And when you use all 3 of these together, you're going to get the best tracking performance out of the Model XL, and you're going to have a little bit slower maneuverability. If you use just the center fin, you're going to have a little bit better balance between the two, where your tracking isn't going to be quite as good, but your maneuverability is going to go up, and your speed's going to go up just a little bit as well because there's less drag with fewer fins. And lastly, if you use just the 2 side fins, you're going to find that the board is going to be very easy to maneuver, but much more difficult to keep moving in a straight line. But this is a great setup if you are paddling in shallower waters and you don't want to be dragging your big 9-inch fin into the mud and sand. The Model XL fins all use iRocker's flip lock fin box, and they all also have the locking tether mechanism to help prevent accidental loss if you do happen to either not lock the fin down all the way or bump into something either on land or on the water. Now that does of course bring us to the Model XL's feature set. And the Model XL is designed to be an all-around and fishing paddleboard, so it's got quite a variety of things built directly onto the paddleboard itself. The front and rear cargo areas both use sets of individual bungee cords that can be easily moved or removed to meet your needs. There are a total of 18 D-rings lining the sides of the board, including D-rings specifically placed to work with iRocker's kayak seat and shoulder sling attachments. You can also attach accessories directly to the Model XL with the 8 threaded accessory mounting points and the 2 Scotty-style mounting plates at the rear of the board. Now, the Blackfin Model XL is sold in a base form with just the board and the 3 fins. However, iRocker has a kit builder feature that allows you to choose what accessories you want to include with your board package. These can be things like upgrading to iRocker's new duffel bag style paddleboard bags, their electric pump, or even their carbon fiber paddle. And of course, when you do choose to bundle accessories with the board purchase, they are offered at a discount. So if you're thinking about making any of these upgrades, the time to do it is when you're purchasing the board rather than after. Now, the Blackfin Model XL does not automatically come with a paddle unless you select one, and iRocker does have a few options. However, their base paddle is one of our more recommended options for iRocker because it's just a really fantastic deal for a great paddle. The new Blackfin Hexa Edge paddle is an updated version of Blackfin and iRocker's standard paddle that they've had for a few years now. It does have a carbon fiber shaft and a fiber reinforced nylon blade. Now, this gives you a blend of a lightweight and medium stiff feel with the carbon fiber, with the durability of the nylon blade and a little bit of flex in the water as well. That makes a very comfortable paddle for your typical cruising and all-around use. I did mention in the speed section that the paddle is a little bit soft feeling in the water, and that's just when you're trying to go as fast as you can. It is a really good option for those cruising speeds and even going a little bit faster than that. Now, what makes the Blackfin Hexa Edge paddle a little bit different than the previous model is how the blade connects to the main shaft section, and that is with a hexagonal insert. The hexagonal insert reduces the amount of play that's possible between the two sections, so when you put them together, you're not going to be getting a jittery or loose feeling in the paddle. So I'm sitting here twisting it, and I cannot get these two sections to twist. So there is no play here once it's connected. And it still uses a very simple push button connection to remove it when you're done. Now, the handle section of the paddle is also made with carbon fiber, and it does have a plastic grip with a little bit of a rubberized texture insert. It uses iRocker's pin and clip adjustment system that has numbered holes on here, so you can easily adjust and reset your paddle based on where you used it before. Now, there is no length or height scale on here, it's just these hole numbers, so you will have to kind of remember which ones you were using from time to time, but after 2 or 3 times that doesn't really matter. And then to lock the paddle into position, all you do is press the collar down when it's aligned over the holes, which doing on camera is hard. There we go. Never had that much problem with it before. And then to adjust it again, all you do is press out and adjust and then snap it back in. There we go. Worked much better that time. The Blackfin Model XL is a fantastic do-it-all in fishing paddleboard. It has a time-tested construction, great performance on the water, and more accessories and features on the board that I could ever use, but I know a lot of people out there really like having the versatility and option to use. iRocker's kit builder system further allows you to customize the Blackfin Model XL 6 to your needs, allowing you to choose things like electric pumps, bag and paddle upgrades, and all sorts of other accessories to outfit your next trip. The board is quite large and is a little bit on the heavy side of things, making it a little bit harder for smaller paddlers to carry and use. While the construction is one we've recommended for years now, I would really like to see iRocker potentially upgrade the Blackfin series to some more modern materials to kind of reduce that weight a little bit without sacrificing any of the rigidity or performance. But at the end of the day, the Blackfin Model XL is a fantastic do-it-all paddleboard for a wide range of paddlers. Whether you're a SUP angler who wants to bring all sorts of accessories with you, if you're a larger paddler who wants a stable board but it still performs well on the water, or if you're paddling with pets, kids, or even another adult passenger from time to time, the Blackfin Model XL can handle all of that and more. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you have any questions or if I've left anything out about the Blackfin Model XL6, then let us know in the comments below. In the video description, you can also find a link to the full written review for this, including dozens of pictures and a lot more detailed thoughts about the board itself. If you've enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon so that you can get notified when we publish new videos. If you're thinking about getting the Blackfin Model XL6, we ask that you use the link in our video description below. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does let iRocker know where you saw this video and where you got the information to make your decision, and it helps support our YouTube channel. Thanks again for watching, don't forget your PFD, and happy paddling!